listening to Let Your Voice Be Heard.
Today, this is the topic. Let's talk about sex. How do we handle this issue?
There are a lot more risky behaviors in drinking or drug use that affect sexual activity.
You might build a community. The police officers make more of an attempt to talk to people. They're going to be people who just don't like the cops. So when we have our guns, then, you know, what's the solution?
Do you welcome homosexuals in your church, Pastor?
I'm never going to treat you differently. Never going to put you down. I'm going to say this to you, though. I'm not gay.
They're not stripping or searching or frisking me.
Let Your Voice Be Heard radio.
Every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Coming up on the show, we actually have Pierry Benjamin, a.k.a. Philanthropy.
Yeah, Philanthro_P.
Yes. Like, I love that. Philanthro P.
I thought he changed his name to, like, Pierre Benjamin Philanthropy. I was like, what? Why?
Yeah, Stanley, you did not think that.
Wait, Patricia went to Columbia, and she thought the same thing.
You introduced it like it was his second last name. I was like, that's kind of clever. I want mine to be Queen of Scotland or something.
I know, right?
And I'd be Stanley Fritz Stone Cold Steve Austin because, I mean, what else would you be?
Yes, Stanley. So we are bringing back the Dreamers and Doers series. Of course, that's where we spotlight inspirational young people who are using their influence, their talent to make positive changes in their community and in the world around them. That's why I had to invite Pierry up here. He is the CEO and founder of The Big Live. So let me just introduce yourself, and we'll get more into what we're going to talk about later.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for having me. You know, I have my partner here, Fulton Henry. It's a really great blessing to do any type of work and to be acknowledged, even at a smaller scale. You know, even if someone, you know, I walk in the street sometimes and I bump into some kids I do sessions with, and they say, "Oh, you're the guy from The Big," and you know, even
it's so hard to remember the big thing.
Oh God, you know, for someone to say, you know, good job or kudos or a pat on the shoulder, it speaks volumes when, you know, you work hard to accomplish something. Just like, you know, on your program, if you have people who are of a clearly higher significance than myself, and they come and they give you their time, and time is something that's extremely valuable. So that also gives you, you know, a credible experience to say that, yeah, we came from this, and now these are the people we've had on my show. So I sincerely appreciate that.
Well, 2 + 2 is. I want to sound smart too.
Wow.
I want to sound smart. He can't be the smartest man in here. That's my title.
I'm not the smartest.
That's never been your title.
Let me show some love. So, President, and we have Vice President in here. Can you shout yourself out too as well?
Fulton Henry, Vice President. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me here. I noticed that the radio station is here in City College.
Yes.
And I am an alumni, class of 2004. So it's great to be back. So
he couldn't wait to bust that in.
Oh, yes. So we have a very exciting show coming up. And then later, what are we talking about, Patricia?
Yes, we're going to be talking about minimum wage. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the State of the Union address.
Yeah,
and President Obama, he kind of shocked everybody because he brought it up before in his first campaign about, raising the minimum wage. And then he just dropped it. It's like, it was something that, like, he teased it with it. He got his votes. He got into office. And then it's like,
I wouldn't say that.
Moving along.
It's
politics. It's a politics thing,
yeah.
right? So, I mean, it's not an attack on President Obama. It's an attack on all politicians. And they all do that. I mean, it's kind of like a way to get in.
Right.
If I was running for something, I promise you guys the world.
And I
would really do my best to deliver. But, you know, he brought it back, and I was very happy about it. But while there is a lot of excitement about it, because I think a lot of people want to really get paid more, obviously, who wouldn't, legally, there is still the argument that it's not the right time to bring that up, that it's going to hurt businesses, that it's just like, it's going to hurt actually the poor, people say, because you raise prices when you raise the minimum wage. So we're going to be discussing that. We're going to have a little debate.
Yay!
And we're going to have both sides of the story, and I'm really, really excited. I'm just moderating. Like, I don't even want to bring in my opinion because it doesn't really matter. We have 2 great guests, and they're going to be discussing it, and I can't wait to see what comes up.
I can't wait either.
Maybe somebody will be swayed to the other side of whatever side you're on right now.
I probably won't. Stanley, speaking of swaying from one side to the other.
That was a horrible segue.
No, the sequester, think about it. Democrats and Republicans both blame each other for the sequester, so they sway the blame back and forth.
I thought you were trying to do like a sexual double entendre.
Really?
Quickie. I really did.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm supposed to be paying attention, but the photographer just hit the speaker, and I had to laugh inside. I'm sorry, man.
Shout out to Jano, man. He's a great talent. A great talent. This kid is amazing, but I'm going to put you on blast. Jano tripped outside on his way over here. And I really thought we was gonna have a big lawsuit on our hands. I was hoping he was all in one piece, but he's a trooper.
I was gonna sue him for
you survived.
He's really phenomenal. This kid, you
Definitely.
have no idea.
And shout out to Anthony too. He's also in the building
we
taking
also have
pictures.
a photographer. Thank you very much. And our photographer didn't trip over anything, but he's tripping with joy to take pictures.
Listen, Janelle's still great in my book. Great member of the team.
We have paparazzis in here today.
That's right.
I actually, when I went out last night, I felt like I was on like the red carpet and all these people were taking pictures of me. I loved it. Stanley, the quickie.
Yes, the quickie. As always, guys, I'm going to overwhelm you with fast facts, and you won't even feel it, but I will, so that's all that matters. Just like in real life.
Let them enjoy it, too.
So, I hope so, because I'm going to be sleeping before you know it.
Hopefully this time we'll give you more than 30 seconds.
Listen, as long as I'm not crashing into a wall, that's all I care about. We're going to be talking about the sequester, a.k.a. the doomsday cuts, a.k.a. these guys are idiots, a.k.a. they kicked it down the road again. I'm going to explain to you what all these a.k.a.s mean. I probably won't, but I'll at least tell you what a sequester is and how it's going to affect you if we don't do something about it.
Definitely sounds good. So again, we are excited about this big live show, and we are live. If you guys you want to hit us up and call us, the number is
212-650-6903. I hate you, Selena. I hate you so much.
I don't know why we did that. No. I don't know why Stanley just like
trying to help you out, Selena.
Yeah.
How do you not know the number by heart by now?
Exactly.
I just never memorized
it. At the moment when you have to say it, I forget my own number.
I was about to say the same thing.
She's like, can I see that number, people?
I know. And I was like, Anthony, move over.
Selena's going to forget her children's name, too. What's your daughter's name?
Number 2.
Introduction.
All right, Stanley. And also remember, hit us up on Twitter. We will be tweeting at you on our team and also reading your tweets to us. That's BeHeard_radio. And also, the Big Live, if you guys, you're probably already following the Big Live because they have way more followers than us.
Do that. Follow at the Big Live TV on Facebook. You can like us at the Big Live TV on Instagram. You can follow us at the Big Live TV on Twitter. It's at the Big Live TV.
Yes, and YouTube as well.
Big Live
I was
TV.
watching some of y'all videos last night. I think that the YouTube page is what really pops and shows what the Big Live is about.
I mean, I could talk about it till I get blue in the face, and it just until someone sees what we actually do when we run these sessions. You know, Big Live provides motivational speaking and mentorship towards high-risk areas within New York. So oftentimes, prior to I'll give you an example, right? Because Island is composed of 9 key demographics within New York. So we have South Jamaica, you have Far Rockaway, you have Brownsville, you have the Bronx, just to name a few.
Yeah.
In those same particular areas, they also have the lower performing schools.
Mm-hmm.
In those same particular areas, you also have higher STD rates. In those same particular areas, you also have higher teenage pregnancy rates. So there's an immediate correlation between education and the development of an individual.
So we're going to get more into that. That was just a little synopsis, a snippet. Again, we're here with Pierry Benjamin from the Big Live. We're going on a quick break, but we'll be right back. Stay tuned on WHCR 90.3 FM. We're going to talk about New York City public schools, our children, our teens, and just saving lives. Right here on
Listening to Let Your Voice Be Heard.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
Every day is your birthday and I hit the flow. Every day is your birthday and I hit the flow. Hit the flow. And let's work. Let's work. Let's work. Let's work. What you think you're doing in here? Girl, I got 100 bottles of that rose hose. They always be in my ear. Girl, I got a problem.
And we are back. This is Let Your Voice Be Heard right here on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. And I just found out over the break that Queens is definitely in the building right now.
Right.
We have the president and vice president of the Big Live TV in here.
Yeah.
And we all represented Southeast Queens, right?
Yeah,
Where are you guys from?
I was actually, this is going to sound really bad. I was actually born in Brooklyn. But I was raised
Yes.
in Yes. Because you know why? Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Brooklyn,
it's
we
like,
go hard.
My life was, changed a lot growing up. So between, what parent I lived with or whatever the case may be. But I spent the most significant parts of my life in Queens. Mm-hmm. So my high school years, junior high school years, some parts of elementary school. I wasn't blessed enough to have one place and live there the entire time. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, shout out to Queens, man. Shouts to a lot of people from Queens who do big things. Shouts to Lav. Lav Life, shouts to Slow Buck. Shouts to all of them people, man.
Definitely.
BK. Sorry.
Yes, that's right, Patty. East New York.
Hey, well, I also love
Can we get
living
some
Queens
shine?
now.
Yes, thank you.
We love both.
Can we show
love
some
both.
love?
No, we
It's
don't.
beautiful, man.
Well, speaking of Brooklyn, I was actually born and raised in East Flatbush.
That's right. That's right, sir.
I like this guy.
East Flatbush and She Said Bay, and now I'm in Cambria Heights, Queens.
Okay.
I'm
so
sorry to hear that, sir.
he's in a nice residential area.
By the
Believe
way,
me, I know that.
You have a very pleasant radio voice. I'm like, yes,
You really
tell me
do.
more, sir.
Yeah, he's dope, man.
He was like, I grew up in East Flatbush. I'm like, woo! East Flatbush is the ghetto. I know. I live there.
It's changing.
It's changing.
Definitely
I'm pretty-
changing.
I see white people running with their shirts off at 2 in the morning.
Absolutely.
It is
Park.
changing.
Gentrification. That's
With
what
their
that
bikes,
is.
they got
That's
bike
it.
lanes in Brooklyn now all over the place.
I know.
Absolutely.
That is signs of progress, my friend.
Or gentrification. So
Okay, listen.
no matter how you look at it, somebody's
yeah.
always losing.
Only white people
Tomato.
drive bikes.
So again, we are speaking to Pierry Benjamin
Yeah.
from the Big Live TV, from the Big Live,
Yeah.
but on Facebook and Twitter it's the Big Live TV. So
Yeah.
I get that like mixed up. And
Yeah.
he is our featured dreamer and doer in the house. So again, guys, I introduced it a little more, a little bit before the break. Let me just go into it a little more. The Big Live, it stands for being involved greatly, living in various environments. I didn't mess up. And as you were saying before we went on break, it provides motivational speaking seminars in public schools across New York City.
Right.
And what you guys do is you film
Yes.
every seminar
Yeah.
and you develop it into an urban culture web-based reality series. That means you incorporate social media.
Absolutely.
Of course. So I guess just fill in the details and why you started it.
Well, I started the Big Live. We got it's an inside joke, but in either regard, it got to a point in my life. I knew, I went to school. I was always in a sales position. I was a senior consultant at about 20 years old. I got promoted to account executive by the time I was 21. I went through undergrad. I was blessed enough to work for really, really great organizations. I worked for Verizon Wireless. I did well as a sales rep there. And I got to a point where I felt that I reached what I felt was my peak. I didn't necessarily want to run a store. I didn't feel like I went to school to run a retail location. It's nothing against them. It just didn't fit my goals for myself. And in which case, by the time I graduated college, when I transferred to get my bachelor's, I lost some 30 credits. So it was really something for me in terms of paying for school and then finally finishing school and having a sense of accomplishment where, family came from all over to support me. My father flew in from Haiti. It was really big, and I didn't think, I didn't think it was going to be such a thing. I seen my dad cry because of something. So I said, not only did I want that feeling, I wanted to give my family more feelings like that. And so the summer I graduated SUNY Westbury class of 2010, and I said, I want to do something big. And at that time, the marketing plan was doing quarterly events. Every 4 months that would always change and would always have a theme. So I said, people could go to clubs anytime, but let's have a really interesting networking venue. Let's have, fire shows, dancers, something that's so entertaining. Let it speak and build a name within itself, and I'll brand it. And something always went wrong. I wrote the first draft of the marketing plan, and I hit save, and it didn't save. And then another time, my sister said, well, why don't you just email them to me? Because she would proofread all the work that I did. So I said, fine. I emailed it, and she said she never got it. The third time I did it, I broke night, and I wanted the entire marketing plan to be about roughly 20 pages. I didn't want it to be boring for someone to read. And I woke up the next morning. I was like 15 pages in. I made significant progress, really dope SWOT analysis, and I woke up the next morning, and I had blue screen of death. So my entire computer crashed, and I didn't have anything. And I'm someone who's really big into my faith. I firmly believe in the powers of the universe and how it guides you once you understand how to use it. And so I challenged, my father says God will never be embarrassed. And so I challenged God, not to sound blasphemous, but you let your son walk on water. You parted seas. You sent all of these things. You can't give me a talent and not show me how to use it. It wouldn't make sense. Why would you tease me this way? You understand? And I got very, very humbled and I expressed, myself in the best way that I felt that I could. And I opened the Bible to a random page, and some people might, it might sound weird, but it opened to the book of Haggai. And Haggai describes in the scripture during the time where the people were building. And it says it's like eating and it's like drinking, but you still thirst, and putting money into a pocket with a hole in it. So you'll sustain, but you're never fulfilled, and you'll never be fulfilled until you do the work of God. And I never touched that marketing plan since. So it was a lot of changes that I was going through in my life. I went through a really sincere moment of I wouldn't, exaggerate and say depression, but let's just say I wasn't really happy with myself. And a good friend of mine, Pedro Avon, shout out to Pedro, we were youth group members in our church youth group years ago. And he said, man, come on, man, you finished school, you graduated, stop giving me excuses, just become a leader, just do it, become a leader. At the time, my vice president, Fulgence Henry, was a leader also. I said, let me dedicate my time to see what, doing the work of God would give me, so to speak. And, I started off slower, so to speak. It was every Wednesday from 8 to 10 o'clock. I had a personal account with it because when I was 16, I was in the same youth group. So I knew what it can give, and then I knew what I could give it to give others, young people with challenges, challenges that I felt at one particular time I was the only one who had them. Mm-hmm. And around the same time, a very, very sincere friend of mine, Tyshawn Boyce, also a member of the Big Live team, keynote speaker for us. Tyshawn did about 5.5 years up north. So I would write Tyshawn.
In jail.
Yeah.
Just in case.
You was the only one, Selena.
Oh, okay.
I would write Tyshawn, and I would even go visit him sometime. I don't know if anybody's ever visited someone away, but it's something that takes place when you visit someone in a confinement where they can't leave, and you have to express so many things in a short amount of time. And when you leave, it's a sad thing to know you have to leave them there. So in our conversations, in our dialogue, I would tell him, I says, I'm working on something, and I need you to express certain things, for me, if you feel comfortable with that. And Tyshawn's a great, humbled individual. So just someone who did something and, wrong place, wrong time with what, that's what I'm saying. I don't sugarcoat things.
No, like so many of people from the same community.
Right. So,
that end up there.
So in either regard, it came time for me to run my first workshop at Teen Club. And usually when we bring in, guest speakers, the teens are either distracted, they're not really giving them their full attention. And Tyshawn dresses like they do. He's very poised. There's nothing that indicates that he would ever been incarcerated. And so in his dialogue with them, it was not only a dead silence among the teens, but it was an alignment. It was something that he was doing that immediately connected. And I felt that not only was that powerful, but it was something to capitalize on in the regards of how many other students don't have Tyshawn's. Mm-hmm. So I went back to the drawing board, and because I wrote so many marketing plans that failed in the beginning, I knew where, not to make those same mistakes. So when I wrote the Big Live this time, and now, it had more meaning, it then stood for being involved greatly, living in various environments. It was something that went through with no problem. It was almost as if God let me fail so I can learn. Mm-hmm. And